Pete Hammond. Thank you, sir, and welcome. How did you like Society on the Snow? Well, we have a very special night for you continuing right now. First off, I want to introduce the composer, who's an Oscar-winning composer. How many people saw Up? Saw Up. He did that, and I can't even list all the scores he has done in his career, but extraordinary. This is one of his best. Absolutely. Michael Giacchino. And as Numa in the film and the narrator here, wonderful actor here, ENZO VOGRINCIC. Okay, this is Lorna, who's our interpreter for ENZO. Wow. What a talented writer, director, producer, filmmaker. You saw The Impossible, Jurassic Park, all kinds of different movies that he's done in his career. The Orphanage. Please welcome Juan Antonio Bayona. I have a special treat for you right now. I have one of the actual survivors of this crash. He's with us tonight. Please welcome Gustavo Serbino. Welcome to the AFI Fest, and Juan, I gotta ask you, he's not the only survivor that's with us tonight, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We have here with us number one. Where is he?
Amazing. And this movie, you know, it had been made in different forms almost since the time that it happened. There was a kind of quickie movie, as they say in the business. Frank Marshall did an English language version, but this seems so long overdue in the Spanish language, and one that not just honors the survivors like Gustavo, but those who didn't survive. And that was your initial idea, right? To do it differently and do it as honoring the dead as well as the living.
Yeah, as I said before, when I was introducing the film, I was shocked by the quality of this book. There was something that I knew the fact, but there was something bigger than the fact in that book. It was gigantic in every single level, on a psychological, on a spiritual, philosophical level. And one of the things that I was most impressed about were some of the conversations that the survivors have in the book with the dead. I remember very vividly one line from Roberto Canessa saying, "Accept in peace the fact that we live the life that you didn't have the chance to live." And I was very shocked about that. Now when I see the movie, it's when I realized that somehow my instinct was leading me to this idea that I think is a very beautiful idea, to give the chance to the survivors to give their testimony so these people can have a voice and can tell the story, because everything has been told about this story. But there was some missing part. That missing part was the testimony of these people that were so important to these people back home.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I should mention too, this is the official Spanish entry for the Academy Awards.
I'm very happy because this is such a global film. It's the Spanish entry. It's done by a Spanish crew with a Spanish director, but the actors are Uruguayan and Argentinians, and we shot in Uruguay, Argentina, Spain, and Chile. So to us, it's like a big effort of the whole Ibero-American Latin community, and it was very special to be selected to Spain. I'm very proud of representing this film that was so hard to do. We spent 10 years trying to get the finances. Because there is a ceiling for that. When you do a film in Spanish, there is a ceiling. There is a budget that you cannot go over that, you know? And this movie somehow is breaking that ceiling. It's trying to show the people that we can tell our stories in our language. And this is why we are here.
You do not want to see it in another language. Seriously. I mean, it just seems so right. And Gustavo, I have to ask you your reaction to watching this on the screen. And you know, it started at the Venice Film Festival this year, and it's been at festivals, won every audience award. But what do you think when you look at this now, all these years, 50 years later?
First of all, I am very thankful to my friend Jota Bayona, because this movie is a great film. It's amazing. And this movie lets you to contact you to the deep part of your soul and feel exactly the experience that we have in the mountains. But it's so hard and so strong and so beautiful that this story gives us to all the people who belong to this plane, the people that are dead and we that survive, that all are in the same level. And Jota told the story in the voice of all the people who work in the film is the voice of the people who are not alive, but they still living in the heart of all human beings. Because our story is not a tragedy, it has a lot of tragedy, and it's not a miracle, it has a lot of miracle. This is a story of love, friendship, solidarity, and self-vocation. And this is a very important message in this difficult moment that the whole world is facing. That we have war and survival and hate. This is the story of love. So, like Uruguayan, like a human being that belongs to America, we are very thankful to Jota and to all of you that this film have a big success in the heart of all the people in this moment.
And also, here in the audience, we have your childhood friend, somebody, it sounds like this is your life. Your childhood friend who you grew up with, basically, who wrote the book upon which this is based, and to show you the level of authenticity. Where is he?
Oh, yeah, he's there.
There he is. He's the author of the book. So, the movie that you wanted to make, to be able to have that book and that.
Yeah, he's been the most patient man in the world. We've been working in this project. The first email I sent them was in 2011. And then we started to work in 2016, right? And you know, one of the challenges, because this is something I told the survivors, is like you had 50 years to try to figure out what was the meaning of what happened in the mountain. I have 2 years to find the meaning. So it was an exploration. It was not just telling the story, it was an exploration. And we basically what we did with an amazing cast that was brave enough to follow the crazy idea of just going through everything that they went through in the mountain in the same conditions. So they went through the loneliness, the cold, the hunger, basically to make ourselves the same questions they did in the mountain and try to understand what was the meaning of that. What was at the end is the big question. When you do that question again and again and again, at the end is the big question, what is the meaning of life? And this is what we try to explore in a very hard but at the same time very beautiful journey that was this movie.
Yeah, it's amazing, and Enzo, I'm just as happy to see you surviving the filming of this as I am to see him who survived the whole thing, because it was a rugged shoot, was it not? Being on that mountain and making this movie as authentic as it is.
Pienso que vamos a poner aquí y que ella sobrevivió. Entonces, si nos puedes comentar un poco cómo fue esa experiencia.
El rodaje fue difícil, un rodaje de mucho frío, un rodaje muy largo, de mucho sufrimiento, pero a la vez todas estas cosas, sentir frío durante tanto tiempo, sentir hambre todo el tiempo, era todo lo que necesitaba para actuar esta historia. Al final terminabas encontrando en ese dolor un poco el camino para actuar eso que tenías que actuar. La parte más difícil de actuar esto no era el frío, no era el hambre, sino que era lo que ellos sentían, que es una cosa que uno nunca va a poder acercarse. La sensación de tener la muerte tan cerca, de ver a tus amigos morir, de sentir que la vida depende de un hilo, esa sensación era la que había que actuar. Y era lo más complejo de todo esto, lograr entender ese nivel de complejidad de emoción.
Well, certainly it was a hard shooting, it was definitely cold, it was long, and there was certainly suffering, but the suffering was the way to find the story, because you end up feeling all that, and that's what you need to act out the story. And it is important to feel all of that so that you understand what the characters went through, and that was the path, because we can never really know what was like for them to feel death so close, to see your friends dying in front of you, and all of that experience is what allowed us to feel and get close to that.
Wow. I'm curious too, what was the reaction when you met the real survivors and they found out who you were playing?
Tengo curiosidad cuando conociste a los sobrevivientes y cuál fue la reacción de ellos al conocer.
Es hermoso. Lo más complejo de hacer un personaje que vivió, en este caso fue no tener información de él directamente, no poder ver un video, no conocer de él a través de algún registro, ni poder hablar con él. Entonces lo que te queda es la gente cercana. De repente conocí a sus hermanos, conocí a sus amigos, sus hermanos me mostraron su casa, me contaban qué cosas recordaban en cada lugar de la casa con él. Y cuando los conocí a los supervivientes, había una cosa que pasó que nos conocimos todos una noche en un asado. Y nos íbamos presentando, cada uno de los actores decía, me llamo tal, represento a tal. Cuando yo les decía, me llamo Enzo, represento a Numa, ellos cambiaban y me decían, uff, Numa, y me daban un abrazo. Y de repente en ese abrazo encontrabas un montón de cosas que ellos no te podían decir de Numa. Todo el mundo que hablaba de Numa me contaba cosas espectaculares, te decían cosas brutales de él, pero eso de alguna manera no me terminaba de servir para actuar. Pero sin embargo en el silencio, en ese abrazo, la hermana agarrándome la mano y diciéndome sos igual, de repente encontrabas cosas que ellos no podían decir sobre él, que era lo que él termina generando en los demás. Ahí estaba el valor que yo más encontré para poder hacer a Numa, y eso es lo más especial de todo.
Okay, did you get all that?
She's amazing.
Well, this was a really complex process because this was a character I did not get to meet in person. There wasn't video or any type of record, but I could talked to people who knew him, like their family, siblings, friends. The siblings showed me around the house and the memories they had of him around the house. And I got to meet the survivors one night. It was the whole cast and the survivors in a barbecue, an asado. And I would introduce myself, hey, saying, hi, I'm Enzo, and I'm playing Numa. And their reaction was like, wow, Numa. And there was a shift about them because there's so much that people can tell you about the other person and they spoke wonderful things about him, but that hug, that silence, that space let me know a lot more about the effect that Numa had in other people, and that was the treasure to find the character.
That's amazing. Gustavo, how did you do it? How did Enzo as Numa?
Enzo is an incredible human being. He represents Numa perfectly, and he is a wild guy. That is, we belong to a country that no one is more than another one. And in the Andes, we need to build a caring society when all the things belong to everyone, and the only goal was to survive, not be all. And this is the amazing history of the real human beings in this world, that we need to survive all together.
Amazing. There at the end is the brilliant composer of the score, Michael Giacchino, which you've brought so many different things to this for different scenes. What was the challenge for you of this particular movie compared to so many of the others you've done? And you use your way in instruments and all of that in the making of the score too.
Whenever I do a lot of these interviews over the years, and everyone asks, how do you do this? And I'm always like, I like to be in the mind of the character, in the soul of the character that I'm portraying. And people say, what about, it must be easier for live action than it is for animation. And I'm like, no, it's the same. I put myself in their shoes. And this movie challenged me in ways I never really understood that I could be challenged. So I wanted to be a mirror of the soul and the emotions and the events that they went through. I wanted to truthfully reflect that in the music I was writing, which meant that I needed to really understand and put myself in their position every day for 9 hours a day, whatever it was, and it was exhausting. It was really, but at the end of the day, I always knew that whatever I felt at the end of that day was nothing compared to what they felt. And all I cared about was I delivering a truthful rendition of what, because when you work in movies, you can manipulate things the way you want, and I didn't want to do that with this. I just wanted to be honest as I could be with this movie. So I hope that's what you felt. But it was about just looking at these faces and showing how would I feel if I was in that position. What would I do? Who am I? The big thing about this movie is it really does ask you the question, who are you? Who are you as a person? But then it also asks you, who can you be? Beyond that. And that's all I thought about.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing